Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Area 51, episode 51 of the B Graders. We're back. We've had a bit of time off, haven't we, really?
Well, you haven't. You've been working.
I have been working, if that's what you can call it. Best seat in the house at Com Games is what I got. I was able to be actually commentating when, for the first time ever in the history of the world, 3 minutes and 50 seconds got beaten in a team's pursuit.
I heard all about it, didn't see it.
Well, I don't think anyone heard about it on the night because I might as well have been sat there with my mouth shut because the crowd was going absolutely ballistic. But Sam Welsford, WA's own, the Wombat, he was part of the team that rode 3:49.8.
It's pretty quick.
It's very quick. Sam Welsford also won the scratch race, and Cam Meyer won the road time trial. And also, I think it's pretty easy to say, Cam Meyer, greatest Australian cycling team member ever. Anyone who ever thought Cam Meyer couldn't do the job in a bike race needs to go and watch the scratch race and then needs to go and watch the road race, because Sam Welsford owes him a beer every Sunday afternoon for the rest of his life, and so does Steele von Hoff, who won the road race. Cam Meyer absolutely shone at the Commonwealth Games.
The only cycling I saw at the Commonwealth Games, the only bit of the Commonwealth Games that I saw was the last 10k, maybe 5k of the road race.
It was a good road race.
Cam did do very, very well, there's no doubt about it. However, having said that, Australia achieved all the goals they wanted to achieve.
Absolutely
Simon Jones has been proven so far been proven right.
Simon Jones, look, we're mates with Simon. Obviously, I see Simon a fair bit this summer at these events. Happiest man in cycling.
Well,
he went from being quite concerned, look on his face one day, to walking on clouds for the rest of the week. But let's have a look at it. Steph Morton, 3 gold medals. Carly McCulloch, gold medal. Our team's pursuit is absolutely superb. Chloe Hosking, my favourite female cyclist. Last year we had Jess Allen, Beck Carter and Hayley Jones. This year, still Jess Allen, obviously, still Hayley Jones, but we're adding Chloe Hosking into that mix because she goes
pretty well, and you know, she's pretty genuine.
Absolute.
It's a big effing deal to me.
Yes, it was.
Is what she
Commonwealth Games. It was absolutely superb footage that we saw of her. She won it like a true sprinter. Absolutely smashed it. The girls backed her, which was nice to see. Also, Amy Cure winning the scratch race. Once again, the Australian girls, Georgie Baker and Anna Edmondson, absolutely set it up for her to win that one. We have problems with our point scores, though. That needs to be addressed in team situation. The girls didn't medal, and neither did the boys, and that's when you got Cam Meyer, who's the current champion. But I actually got to say it in my commentary while I was there.
Just you commentate, did you?
I did. Just to let you know.
I heard you
if you've won 9 world titles, sooner or later somebody's going to watch the YouTube video of what you do to win those world titles, and I'd say Meyer was up against about an 8-man lead. And
didn't get a lot of help from what I tell from what I can tell from his teammates.
But anyway,
I think at one point I hear one of his teammates was on the front driving it whilst Cam was in the third bunch.
Yeah, well the attack, the lead out was so strong that it created 3 bunches and Cam was on the back. I'll tell you what though, 4:11 Tanfield from England in the individual pursuit. Sam Welsford rode a 4:13 and didn't qualify in the top 4.
Yeah, I think the second to fifth was within less than half a second. Yep. And that's and
they're all inside 4:14, so
it's pretty
absolutely sensational. Anyway, that was Com Games. I had a great time. Sorry if you didn't. I don't care. Euro boy, who won all the classics?
Well, I think Quick Step won all the classics.
Yeah, the Wolfpack, they were on form, weren't they?
Apart from Paris-Roubaix, which was won masterfully by Peter Sagan.
It was
a pretty good effort. That.
Yep.
The first time that he's seen a bit of a weakness in the Quick Step team. Moved out of the bunch, no one followed, used up the rest of the break. Fantastic ride by Stefan Dillier to stay with it. Sylvain Stefan, Swiss, French, who cares? To stay with him. Sagan used him up. Best result he's ever going to get.
Yep. And
knew it. So if I go to the finish line with Sagan and get second in Paris-Roubaix, that's not a disgrace. That's a pretty good result.
He's the first man to do the treble, Peter Sagan. Paris-Roubaix, Ghent-Wevelgem and the Cancer Council Classic at Tour Down Under. Nobody's done that before. I don't think anyone will do it again.
May not. That may be a hard one to beat, I reckon.
Your favourite, Nibali, won Milan-San Remo, and Terpstra absolutely smashed everyone's legs at Tour of Flanders.
Yep, and look, you got Valgren at Amstel.
And at Hertvolt.
At Hertvolt, so that's a pretty good win. Alaphilippe was in a class of his own.
Another quick step rider.
But tell you, the young Australian boys at Fleshwillen did very well. Jackie Haig, obviously, but Robbie Power first over the Mudahui.
Yep.
First time around, and was still going quite well. And Jackie Haig finished in the top 15 first time at Liège, which, by the way, was the most boring bike race I've seen this year.
Until 20k to go.
I fell asleep.
When Youngles went off the front, Youngles was absolutely superb.
On a descent.
Let's have a look at it. Robert Power, Jack Haig, and let's mention Ben O'Connor, West Australia's Ben O'Connor.
Tour of the Alps won a stage.
And was attacking the likes of Froome and so forth.
They were chasing
a Ventolin inhaler
They
as well.
were chasing him too. They were chasing him hard. He held them off for 7 kilometres.
So well done, Ben O'Connor. Well done to the WA and the young Aussies. Hashtag young Aussies going well. Simple as that. And it was good to see our green jersey winner, Michael Matthews, back in the racing pello as well.
He was not happy with his classic season, but he will bounce back and probably win the green jersey again.
Hey, controversy corner last week, towards the end of the last week here in Western Australia, because the State Criterium Championship was cancelled. Now, we've got a special guest coming up. I'm going to speak to him about that a little bit further on and ask him his opinion. What's your take on it? You and I have talked about this. I know what your take on it is.
I think it was a great decision.
Yep.
My decision, my reason for a great decision is not because I don't want the title raced.
No.
I think the title should be raced every year, and it will be raced this year. It'll just be raced later. Yep. Maybe November or December, so there still will be a 2018 State Criterium champion.
It's just not happened. Didn't happen on the day they set aside for it, which was
my issue is, one, I think this is an event that should not be run by a club. It should be run by the association. It should be financially backed by the association. They should pull a club into help, but it should not be put on the shoulders of a particular club or promoter where they're going to be financially penalised if it doesn't, if they don't get the numbers. It should be an association run event. After all, they have an events promoter who is employed by them. They have the staff. They have the resources to do that. Otherwise, it's volunteers who have to do the running around, that have to go and get the road approvals, have to pay for the road, the traffic management. And it's not maybe a promoter's individual money, but certainly most of the cases it's a club's money, which is your and my money. And if my club went and willingly put on a race knowing that they were going to be financially crippled by it, I would be very upset, because that limits what the club can do later. Now, so I fully supported the race being cancelled.
Now, for those of you not in the know, the race was cancelled pure and simply because the club was staring down the barrel at the time of about a $2,500 loss. And the reason they have this sort of loss is because we have to pay for traffic management. Now, I see on social media a lot of old school bike riders, a lot of bike riders who have never stood on a corner or sat behind a rego desk, giving their opinion. And opinions are allowed. Everyone's got them. One thing I will say about the club that was running it this time, Rouchard Cycle Club,
and Midland Cycle Club,
they've run it for about 7 years now. They ran it with SPR, South Perth Relays, for a while, and now Midland Cycle Club have stepped up to help as well. Now, every year, state championships are put out by West Cycle or Cycle Sport WA, whichever way you want to describe it, for clubs to put their hands up to run an event. No other club has put their hand up to run it, the state criterium title. So we don't need to see other members of clubs saying, why is it at Tech Park? Okay, it's a bit Groundhog Day-ish, it's going to be run there again. Put your club forward, run the bike race. If you're a private promoter, put your hand up, go and run the bike race. Don't sit there and whinge that the course is the same, it's a bit Groundhog Day-ish.
And once again,
get into it.
Don't abuse people who are going to run races if you're not prepared to maybe give up your own race and help out from time to time, because that sucks a bit.
Anyway, we touch on that when we have our special guest a little bit more, and we don't want to keep going on about it.
Maybe it'll encourage people to race.
Tell you what,
to enter the race maybe a bit earlier.
In my opinion, the best bicycle racing club in Western Australia, West Coast Masters Cycling Club. All of the officials turned up.
None of the riders.
None of the riders. So they had to cancel the event. Now, well done to the West Coast Masters Cycling Club. If you watch what I do on social media, you'll already seen that I've made a post about how superb they are and why they are the #1 bicycle racing club for running races in this state, without a doubt. all of the old men, and I say old men politely because they're all old.
They are old.
They were all standing there in the rain waiting for the riders turned up. I think 2 or 3 riders. Mick Russell was standing there in his KHT kit.
Ready to race.
Ready to race. And no race was held, but thank you to Mel Davies, Wayne Lally, Bob Addy,
Merv Byfield,
Alison, Magnus, everyone here, and all the corner marshals who I don't know off the top of my head names. We wouldn't be able to do it out there without you guys. Thank you so much, West Coast Masters Cycling Club. I don't know what else we've got to talk about other than our special guest.
Well, our special guest is very special. He will give an opinion. We've back and forward on this, and I agree with most of what he says, and he agrees with most of what I say.
I don't know if he's admitted to that, but
well, most people wouldn't, because I can be controversial.
Anyway, folks,
don't tie your boat to me, mate. You'll sink.
When we do our next episode, we'll have done a whole year's full of episodes, because this was number 51. Thank you for your time.
Coming up next, Matt, the big Matt, will be talking to our special guest. I won't be. I'm disappearing.
Ladies and gentlemen, as promised, a special guest, the man who we got more likes and hits on ever before when we interviewed him. Well, Stevie Hall, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, mate, you've had a stellar summer, as per usual. Good times in Tasmania, good times in the criteriums, and getting set to go over to America again. And you're going as the reigning West Australian criterium champion. I say that tongue-in-cheek.
Another 6 months is always nice.
Another 6 months in the jersey?
Yeah, I can keep wearing the jersey. So, yeah, that's the way it turned out, I guess.
It was unfortunate. The State Criterium Championship, obviously, as we've already mentioned, was cancelled. But as a cyclist, on the outside of the organisation side of things, how does it make you feel when it suddenly just pops up like that?
I mean, for me personally, it's, this is what I do for a job. You know, I was training anyway. I feel more for the guys, girls, kids, masters that put a lot of training into this. And that's something that we don't just wake up on a Sunday and think, well, you know, I'm going to see how I go. Like, I know a lot of local guys, and don't need to mention names, but put a lot of training into it, you know, six weeks, months. For it to be cancelled 3 days out, I just feel it's a real kind of injustice to those guys, and that's who I hurt for more than myself. You know, I would have loved the opportunity to try and retain the title, but for those local guys, you know, this is something that they really train for and put the circle around the calendar, and for it to disappear like that in short notice and the replacement to be not proposed until November, I'm most hurt for those guys.
Now, of course, we know the ins and outs of it. The club, Rouchard Cycling Club and Midland Cycling Club, are the two clubs who were going to put the race on, obviously, but and the obvious reason was numbers. It was the clubs were going to make a loss. We know that now, but it does hurt. We understand that for the riders' side of things. From a cycling point of view, from a racing cyclist point of view, all right, we know they were going to make a loss, and we don't want anyone to make a loss, and that's not what it's about. But from a cyclist point of view, what do you think could be done differently as far as a state championship situation goes?
So I think there was a few fundamental errors that led to this being happened, and then I think that the first thing I think we need is a more open or more productive way for the riders to kind of voice their concerns or suggestions. And at the end of the day, bike riders know what they want, you know, and we know what works. I've raced everywhere in the world. I know what works, I know what doesn't. So I think fundamental is the date. We can't be racing a criterium championship towards the end of April. Last year we held it on the 17th of March and we had good numbers, 170 guys, I think I heard. Brilliant. Middle of, you know, getting to the end of summer, but still, it's not a coin flip with the weather. You go started getting into April and the chances are that, you know, that you're going to have rain. And I will never, you know, write off anyone who doesn't want to race in those conditions. That's completely fine. You've got people who've got families, they've got to go to work on Monday, all the rest of it. That's completely fine. And those guys, they don't become state championships, and that's fine as well. But when you're looking at a race with Tech Park where you have to justify those numbers to afford the course, otherwise it's a loss, I think maybe we need to look at other options instead of Tech Park and maybe keep it for the Australia Day and those kind of marquee events. But I think we can't have situations where state championships are cancelled. I think they need to be put on the calendar well in advance so guys can prepare and give it the respect that it deserves, and avoid this situation where it's cancelled 3 days out and then moved to 6 months in the future.
I agree. I think the state championship, the crick title, the road title, the time trial championship, and the state track championships as well, I think they should be the first things put in the calendar every year. I think then we look at our classics, the Lowry, the Collie Donnybrook, those types of races, who we know are already there on certain weekends of the year and have been for hundreds of years, sort of thing. And then the Ring Series, and then the Element Series dots in around those events. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, every year at the world level, the UCI World Road Title, it's put on a date and it's run on a date every year. The Giro d'Italia runs on a certain date, the Tour de France runs on a certain date, Roubaix, all the classics. I think we need to do the same in Western Australia. This is something our 2 cents worth. But, you know, I do like your point about holding it in April, and I think that was overlooked by West Cycle Sport WA. They need to look closely, a little bit closer at the calendar at the start of summer, because at the end of the day, when did we start riding criteriums? We started riding the criteriums at the Graham Brown Supercrit back in November. It's a very long criterium series. There's no reason why the state title has to be the last race. I've never understood why we do this in WA, of having the state championship as almost the last event of the year. We can have it in the middle, you can have it in February. Like, can you imagine having the state crit title in February? I think one thing, numbers won't be a problem in February. You know.
Well, that's exactly right. And you look at the World Championships, there's still races after that. You know, they still, and for the guys and gals that are win the title, get a couple of chances to wear the jersey in that same year, and then again when the summer rolls around. I think everything needs to be moved back. I think we should start the criteriums from November, and I think they should all but be wrapped up by the end of February. Maybe there's a couple that straight into March, but if that last weekend in February is the set state championship, then let's just call it as it is, put it there. And the same with the road title. You know, it takes even more training and more preparation when you start racing over those longer distances. I think we need a lot of transparency with the calendars, and we put them in early. And the Element Series and the Ring Series are brilliant, but without a state championship, they're almost redundant. We need to, it's leading up to something, and I think we bookmark it with the state titles, and then there's room at the end of that for more races. But I think we really need to avoid any situation with a state championship being cancelled, and it's happened before, and I think once is too many, and I think we're going on 2 or 3 now in the last 5-6 years, and I know it personally. So I think we need to really look at that and start putting some changes in so that situations like this don't happen again.
I want to get on to talking about your year ahead and get off this subject, but at the close of entries, when the decision was made, heaps of juniors lined up. We only had 15 in the elite men's. Now, is that a case of we've gotten to the state championship and the elite A graders have gone, I'm just going to get my backside handed to me anyway, I don't want to line up? Or is this because it's the old age laziness of nominating, because I don't have to nominate until midnight, I'm not going to nominate until 10 o'clock on the last day?
Yeah, I think, and there's a lot of discussion in terms of time when we nominate, and it seems that the mass majority, for whatever reason, decide to leave it till last minute Thursday. But that is not an isolated Perth problem, it's not an Australian problem, it's not a Southern Hemisphere problem, it happens everywhere in the world. And I like the idea of maybe rewarding people for registering early. And I completely understand how frustrating it is for race organisers to not know until Thursday evening whether they're even going to have a race. I understand. I think we reward the people that register early. The people that register on, you know, still in time, but 5 minutes before what it may be, they pay the standard. And I think for the people, I think we should still be able to rock up on the day and nom, because I think, and if you have to, you pay them, they pay a fine. You know, what happened? Maybe a bar mitzvah was cancelled, a wedding, whatever it may be, but then hey, I actually can rock up. I don't think we push those people away. I don't like the idea of people wanting to race, and you're dealing with kids that honestly could have forgotten. We're dealing with the same people that do an assignment the night before it's due. Parents could be registering, life gets in the way, mistakes happen. I personally have told everyone on Facebook, make sure you register for this race, and I'd forgotten myself. And luckily they let me race. But it happens. So I think those people, you make them pay a fine, they'll learn their lesson. But don't push those people away. I don't think we're in a comfortable enough position in Perth that we can stop people.
In a comfortable enough position in cycling in general in Australia to be saying to riders, you can't ride because you missed the cut-off date, and that's as simple as that.
I know personally you pay 20 or 30 bucks, whatever, each time, you'll learn your lesson pretty quickly and you'll get in time. And same thing, if there's an incentive to register early and pay a couple extra bucks, people will do that too.
Mate, what are you doing this year?
So I'm going to head to Europe first, something different. I can't tell you who it is yet, but I'm racing for a German team. Really exciting calendar. I'll be
racing for Das ist gut.
I'll be racing a lot of big track races, hopefully weasel my way into some big 6 days. Possibility of some World Cups later in the year as well, where I'm racing for a UCI registered track trade team. So that's a great opportunity that I probably wouldn't have got with the Aussie guys, so I'm really looking forward to that. Probably got another 3 or 4 weeks of training left. Had to work out a couple issues with my body. Thank you to Andrew Spinelli at Apple Cross Physiotherapy for your help. I really appreciate that.
We'll send you the bank details.
Yeah, thanks, mate. So a couple, ironing out the body, finishing the training up, get on the track a couple of times, enjoy the last bit of nice weather that we've got, and head overseas. Yeah, so I'm looking excited at that. I will be back in the US as well, pick up some more prize money and enjoy all that good stuff that they do over there. But to begin with, I'll be over in Germany to start.
Yep. And what's been the highlight of the summer for you this year?
I gotta love Brownie's race. I really enjoyed that, not just because I won.
Why? What was good about Brownie's race?
Brownie got lapped. No, that was a brilliant event. There's a good crowd. There's good prize money.
What?
Good field, everything like that. It was just a really great way to start the criterium season. If that becomes a really fixture in that, and going back to the state title, that's one race that should definitely be there, as the memorial races should always be there.
Yep.
Renee's race, Peter Clark, and I think with those things we build a strong calendar, and we know when those races are going to be held, and a lot of transparency with how that calendar works. But it's been a good summer of racing. I think there's been some great races. I like how we've spread all over the courses. Tasmania was always good for me, and the national championship picked up a silver and bronze.
Yep.
Gold eluded me again, but I'll keep going back. So
that was a good ride. I was there. It was a good ride.
But other than that, I've had a good summer, and it's just getting to that time where I'm about to head off again.
Now, passion for the sport is well known in the Hall family, and of course, Commonwealth Games were recently on, and a little video sort of popped up on Facebook of the old boy having a bit of a cheer at the screen. The passion hasn't died, has it?
Oh no, I remember, I think even before I became a bike rider, I think I watched the first time the Aussies went under 4 minutes. I think that might have been in Manchester. And you can't help but get excited when Muzz was jumping up and down, and now watching it for a bike rider point of view as well. And these are guys that we know, Wellsford and Cam and all these guys, and that elusive 350 went out the window, and I think we all had a little think that it might happen, and then it finally did. So brilliant ride to those guys, brilliant ride to the Aussie team in general, and I was caught up with a lot of the Com Games footage and really excited for those guys and what they've achieved.
Very much so. Mate, we'll leave it there. We wish you all the best, and thank you once again for coming on the show, and thank you for bringing the fam with you today.
Yeah, I got a newest member to the family, cute little border collie that's about to make an introduction.
This is Harper, ladies and gentlemen, 13 weeks old, saved. So
yeah, rescue dog. We saved her.
Rescue dog.
Make sure everyone you get rescue dogs. Don't buy from breeders. Keep these guys, happy. So thanks very much. Appreciate it.
All right, Stevie Hall. We'll see him again next summer. Thanks, mate.